I'm here in presentation of a research group from the University of Madrid, Polytechnic of Madrid. And we have two colleagues, Teresa González-Aja and Elena Merino, who couldn't come to this presentation. So I'm going to talk about a study that we are conducting at this moment in our university. And we don't have the results yet because we are in the process of implementing this study. And also for us, it's a good opportunity to be here and to learn about other people who have more experience in that, and open at the end of this presentation to talk about with you and to listen your propositions to improve our study. So during the academic year 2009-2010, began the implementation of the physical activity and sport science degree with the methodological implications of educational innovation that requires the adaptation to the European higher education area. At UPM's Faculty of Physical Activity and Sport Science, there is an special interest in this process since the academic year 2004-2005. Some teachers started to teach pilot courses implementing active methodologies with small groups showing a satisfactory success. Since the launch of the new degree, these methodologies have begun to be applied to large groups in various courses, and it has been identified the need to evaluate and the implementation and the effectiveness of them. Therefore, during the academic year, the present academic year, 2010-2011, has been chosen the compulsory course of History and Politics of Sports, which is taught in the first year, to develop an experimental study designed to show how educational and innovative techniques are effective for learning and development of specific skills with university students. Additionally, the course chosen is mainly theoretical, which makes the results easier to extrapolate to other courses with similar characteristics, not only in physical activity and sport science degrees, but also in other specialties. It's also been noticed that the students are freshmen who were registered in this course during the first semester. This fact has a particular relevance because it allows to introduce the students from the beginning of the university education to a working method which will be developed throughout the degree. We have different objectives in this study, 4 general and 4 specific. So regarding the general objectives, the first one is related with improve and the reception of and orientation of the process of the new students. The second is related with mentoring. The third one is to adapt teaching materials for new courses. And the fourth one is to improve teaching and learning process through information and communication technology resources in large groups. We are focused in large groups. So that is our goal. Regarding the specific objectives, we have also 4. The first is to evaluate what techniques are more effective to promote learning and specific skills development of the students. The second one is to develop reliable assessed tools for evaluating the impact of the different techniques applied. The third is related to introduce freshman students in the active teaching learning process that they will receive throughout the degree. And finally, the fourth one is to provide the teacher a basic manual with the most effective techniques for using educational innovation in large groups. As it has been noted, participants in this study were students enrolled in the present academic year and in the obligatory and the compulsory course of History and Politics of Sport. This is a main theoretical course and has 6 ECTS. In total, we are involved 343 students, of which 39 are repeating students from the previous year. Participants were randomly divided using their last names in 4 groups of around 70 to 80 students each. Before that, I have been talking with a colleague from the University of New York, and he told me that sometimes to do this division in class for a study like this is really hard. But we have the luck that in our university the students are divided randomly. So for us this is good in order to apply this study. So the fact that the majority of the sample was freshman students provided from the first year of the educational university education is a privileged sample. because they still have no experience in cooperative learning at the university, and therefore it can be more clearly evaluated the impact of such methodologies in the teaching-learning process. On the other hand, the professor who teaches the course has over 30 years of teaching experience and has extensive training in educational innovation. In fact, she has previously implemented similar experiences in small groups. Finally, regarding ethical concerns, students agreed to participate in the study by signing a consent form that was distributed in class during the first day. This table shows the random distribution of the four large groups of class according to the following variables. We have three variables. The first one is related to attendance. We have two groups where the attendance was obligatory and two groups where it wasn't. The second one is related to group stability. Literature says that it's interesting to work with the same group the whole semester, but we have divided two groups where the groups for each technique is the same group, but other two groups where the groups change each time we implement a new strategy. And the last one was the use of ICT using Moodle, and we have two groups where the use of Moodle was more usually Moodle in each session, and other two groups where Moodle wasn't used as regular as the other two groups. So the purpose of this distribution is to facilitate further comparison of results. So we have, as it was already mentioned, the course chosen for this study is mainly theoretical in nature. So it was decided to provide 60% of lectures and the other 40% using active methods of cooperative learning. Usually these kind of courses are usually 100% lectures. So we start with this division to see if the inclusion of 40% of cooperative learning can add something valuable for the students. So specifically, we will use the following techniques: a puzzle, forum, public interview, poster, and research group. Each of these techniques will be briefly explained. First of all, is puzzle. A topic, for instance, we use the origin. We have 5 different theories to explain the origin of a sport. So we divide this topic, the origin of a sport, in 5 parts and give each part to a member of a group. So each member has to do a comprehensive reading and become an expert of the content given. After that, there is a meeting of the experts of each subject who debate about the topic given. After that, each expert returns to his or her original group and explains the content to the group mates. So all the students are informed of the 5 contents of the topic given. So this is the first technique. The second one is a forum, and it's conducted with the whole class. It is necessary to establish a coordinator and a secretary. This technique complements a previous activity, in our case, a film. And during the forum, different topics are presented and also the rules to participate in it. As you can see, we have selected 2 very different movies. One to pay attention in the historical mistakes, and the other one to appreciate a perfect recreation of a key historical period under the point of view of sportsmen as gladiators. The public interview is conducted with a group of 5 people. The group works on the subject given to prepare different questions for an interview with a qualified person who comes as a guest speaker to class. For us, we have a professor who is a specialist in Tai Chi, so he explained many things. At the end, he has to be interviewed by the students. So the day of the interview, a leader of each team will become the interviewer, and the rest of the class takes note of the answers. One of the most successful techniques is the poster. In groups of 3 to 5 people, a topic is proposed, and each group has to develop it in a poster presentation. The work of each group is assessed by their classmates. Here you can see the work done by 3 different groups of students, and the group who won this edition of the poster was the first one, the top on the left, as you can see. So, and finally, we have another technique, like the research group, and where the teacher introduces the topic and gives the students a specific literature about it. We have used the Olympic Games from the ancient Greece to do this technique. Each group of 5 members has to prepare a classwork providing the information prepared and specifying how they work, the division of tasks, what sources they have used, where they found them, how they organize data, etc. But here I want to talk about educational access resources, because for us it was something that we didn't pay attention at the beginning, was that we recommend literature that was available in the library, but the problem is that with a group of 343 students, we don't have enough books for that. So we didn't hold the books in the library, so they took the books, so they couldn't go to the library to see the information. So we realized the importance of provide to the students to many other sources to do the research, because sometimes with a small group it's not a problem, but with a big group it's hard to control the information and to provide enough information for all the students. So this one is something that we learned about that. The phases of the study are 4, and the first was the initial phase that we began this in September. So we conducted an initial assessment to the students in order to verify their prior knowledge and skills, allowing us to create heterogeneous cooperative learning groups. That's for the 2 groups that we create for the whole semester. Then we have the course teaching, and the syllabus has 7 topics, which will be evaluated at the end of each one. To achieve the objectives of this study, it will be used different techniques as it has been exposed above. We are currently in this phase of the study. Then at the end of the semester, we will conduct a final activity that will be done in the historical sport location of Madrid, where each group will explain a work previously demanded by the teacher. In this activity, students will have to show the knowledge and the cooperative skill level acquired during the course. And the final assessment to evaluate the knowledge and the specific skills acquired by the students throughout the semester. The instrument of assessment and evaluation criteria are identical for all the 4 groups of students involved in this study. Regarding the data collection instruments, we use 4: the observation, interviews, pre- and post-test, and the final exams. So for observations, each session of class is video recorded. So students get used to the camera, allowing the use of these recordings as non-participant observations. Later, there will be a viewing of the videotapes to establish the time of teacher and students' participation and the level of interaction. In addition, during each session, a researcher is in the class, taking notes of what is happening without interfering in any moment in the development of the session, in order to triangulate the data obtained from the videotapes and the interviews. So we have 2 different types of interviews. An interview with the students, so 1 member of each working group will be chosen randomly once they have completed the evaluation of the course, and the purpose of this interview is to know their opinion about the different techniques used during the course. It is scheduled to conduct around 40 interviews with the students. And the other kind of interviews with the teacher at the end of each session. The researcher who has attended to class conducts a brief interview with the teacher as a class diary for their points of view about how was the session, or if the objectives were reached as it were planned. Then we have 2 different pre- and post-tests. We have the test called PAPI, Personality and Preference Inventory. That this was a validated test which evaluates the behavior and working style of the students. The objectives of this test, among other things, is to know if there is any change in the participants in relation to their work group skills. We want to measure knowledge, and we want to measure also the working group skills from the students. And that's why we have another test, a test of knowledge, that in the first session we're given a test to the students with questions related to the course syllabus. These questions are planned to appear in the final exam of the course. And then we have a final exam where students will face the whole syllabus of the course. So we have open answer questions and test questions, and that will determine whether there is any change in the level of knowledge acquired in the course. So at the end, some critics that we have even in our universities that if really students learn more with these techniques or not. So it's very important to measure the knowledge, but also other competence, and we try to do both things in this study. So I'm going to briefly show you some pictures of one of the techniques we have used, like with the puzzle. So here is the class of students, like the traditional way of doing a course, like a theoretical course, but we introduce the technique of the puzzle, so they have to do different groups, and they began to move. So they began to interact. There's a problem because sometimes for teachers, this kind of uncontrolled, they don't like it. So sometimes something very stressful, difficult to manage. So the teacher has to intervene and to participate and to move a large group of so many students. So at the end, they start to work. Okay, and for us, that's the point. They start to interact. They change the orientation in the class. They began to talk among them. They began to learn in a different way. The teacher now is like a reference. So when they have questions, they go to the teacher. Sometimes the teacher goes to the groups. So this is another different dimension of education for us. And also something interesting is even at the end of the class, they still want to have, they know the whole class, of course, but some of them, they're interested in learn more, they're interested in the course, they're interested in knowing more things, and the teacher is available for that. So as conclusions, due to the preliminary stage of the study, we cannot show you any results yet. However, after the first months of course, we can say that development of the study is satisfactory and the level of involvement of the students is high. It is hoped that once we analyze the data collected, we can offer valuable and practical information that can be useful for university teaching. So thank you for your attention, and thank you very much.